Terry, I think that you're not factoring in that some of these players might leave. So I get what you're saying in terms of, well, if Arteta leaves, then you should just have a structure where the next manager, then he gets to inherit the squad. But then, like, how long does Saliba wait? Like, how long does Asaka wait? Or like any of these guys? Hold on, bro. I'm in the middle of talking, bro.
Listen, you make a fantastic point, and this is, I think, all Arsenal fans' biggest fear. And I honestly do believe we need to win something this season, otherwise we will get.
I say let them leave.
I mean, I'd love to say that, yeah, but then who are you going to get in? I'm not being funny. People like Saliba, Gabriel.
You're Arsenal Football Club. You're bigger than Saliba. You're bigger than Gabriel. Those players weren't nothing until they came to you guys. You developed them in the first place.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, who do you go and get to come in? Like, I'd like to think the club.
But that's what you got Campos for. That's what you got Sporting Director for.
This is what I was about to say. I was just about to say, I like to think the club have already thinking ahead and they've already planned for this. And like you say, in the summer, they've got names that they want. The same as, I'd like to think they've already got a name for a manager if Arteta was to leave or to get the sack. Because, ultimately they're running a multi-million-pound, business. Yeah. So, but I do think we could potentially lose out on big players if we don't win something this season. And again, I know you just highlighted, I like to think that we've also got a contingency plan that backs us to then push on with this new bloke coming in potentially. But again, it's all about results, isn't it? And it's about Arteta doing it on the pitch or getting the players to do it on the pitch. And I think, it is an exciting time for Arsenal, but it's also a time that could be turbulent. And it all depends on what happens in the next 6-7 months, isn't it?
I think he's here to. I think it's I'll be excited if I was an Arsenal fan. I think he's here to guide Arteta, not the other way around. The problem is Arteta and Edu played on the same team together. They look at each other as peers rather than I'm the sporting director. This is the vision of the club. It's almost like two peers arguing: shall we buy Havertz? Shall we not buy Havertz? Rather than a Campos who's here to tell him, I'm the one discovered Mbappe. I'm the one who built up Monaco. There's a guidance there. I think there's a longer term, and the owner's getting him in. I think they're looking more longer term. And I think if Arteta's wise enough, and I kind of relate it to Eddie Howe as well, he'll be wise enough to listen to the advice that he's been given through Campos in terms of the longer structure for the club and the players they're going to bring in. I think that will give him longevity and probably more likelihood to win trophies. But if Arteta says, this is my way, this is my club's philosophy, these are the players I want, that's when I think it will bring a lot more problems for Arsenal that needs to be there.
But I don't think that Arteta can necessarily look long term. Yeah, he did sign an extension, but I don't think he has that much more time left. Like he must win now. And I think that a lot of Arsenal fans are kind of not necessarily wanting to point that out. Like this, heading into this season, Arsenal had the most pressure on them, right? They were the team that were expected to be usurping Man City, not what Liverpool are doing at the moment. So, yeah, Luis Campos could be brought in and, lead Arsenal in terms of the director of football role and looking over the operations of things for like the next 10 years. But Arteta needs to win stuff now. This guy's already spent over $700 million. So he doesn't necessarily have the same time frame that a Luis Campos would, because Luis Campos would just be coming in after Arteta's already been here for about 4.5 years. So that's kind of where I'm saying in terms of I don't think it's going to necessarily work out, because with all the money that he's already spent and he's still not been able to get you over the line, maybe you should have let him go at the end of maybe like last season or the season before, and then you could have brought in maybe a more proven manager that can then take over this squad versus.
Yeah, I think Arsenal fans will be in for a shock if Arteta don't win something this year. I don't think they are. I personally don't think they
a Carabao or FA Cup. Terry, they're talking about the Prem and the Champions League.
Who are you referring to here, Will?
You want me name drop?
No. I mean, you mean the fans or the owners? Are you talking about?
No. I'm talking about the fans. Just like fans, I think that the expectations heading into this season was for Arsenal to win a Prem or a Champions League.
No, I understand that. But look, I think if Arsenal were to win, say, the FA Cup, come second by a point or two, do well in the Champions League, I think Arteta gets another season, because you're there or thereabouts and you've won a trophy. And I think that's fair, right? Because trophies are what you're aiming for at the end of the day. But I think Arsenal fans who think the club is being built in Arteta's image and he's to a degree untouchable, I don't think that's the case. I think you've built a modern day structure that will live on beyond Arteta, where he's an important component because head coaches are. But I think he's like a they use this word in technology. He's a white label solution. If he leaves for whatever reason, somebody else can come in and do. I don't look at it and think who else can do what he does. We've seen Slot go into Liverpool, and they look better than they probably did in the last 2 years under Jurgen Klopp. I think I think Alonso is a manager that could come in and could do. And I'm not saying he is. Some will say he's better than Arteta. Some will say he isn't. But I think he could come into an Arsenal team that's full of quality players. You've got to remember, you're not a toxic club anymore. If Arteta leaves at the end of the season and say it was Alonso that was to come in as an example into an excellent squad, a club that's been spending money, that's got a great attitude and a great atmosphere, he could take you guys over the line. Now, I don't think, again, I'm not one of these people that would then, I don't believe in then using that as a hammer to beat Arteta over the head with, because Arteta has helped to get you to a point where somebody else can come in and get you over the line. But I think in the modern day game, what football fans have got to learn to do is to, and I know it's hard for Arsenal fans, especially as old as you are, Callum, because you're similar age to me, mate. We were married to our managers because we had 25 years of the same person. I think we have to learn to respect them and enjoy them and back them to a degree, but we don't need to be married to them, because if your club is well structured and well run, you survive beyond that manager. How do we know this? It's how the Real Madrid, it's how the Bayern Munich, it's how all the top European clubs have been run for 50, 60, 70 years. And the only reason the Ajaxes of this world aren't what they were in the 90s is because of the financial difficulties their country has had footballing wise compared to the Premier League. And as long as there's money in the EPL, if you structure yourself in that way, you won't fall off. The clubs that have actually failed in the Premier League in the last 10 years on a massive level are the ones that weren't structured correctly at the beginning of the decade. The Man Uniteds of this world. Arsenal to a degree, even Chelsea, and they had Roman that spent, but the world changed. You couldn't just spend your way to the top anymore because loads of fuckers had money. You had to have a bit more of a continuity of style and structure and a core group. I think if you've got money and you operate that way, you outlive any manager. You're just you're a going concern, as opposed to, oh my God, what do we do when Arteta leaves? What do we do when Amorim leaves? No Real Madrid fan sits there and says, we're fucked when Ancelotti goes, because they know they're not. They know they're not. They just bring the next head coach in to manage a very talented group of players. And I think that's what we should all be asking our clubs to do in the modern day era, rather than focusing on one man. And that's not a dig at Arteta, because I've said it about Ten Hag at my club. I still think he's going to go on and do some good stuff elsewhere. It doesn't make you a bad coach. It just means now's the right time to maybe move on. I want to do some of these super chats here. First one says, random fact, Modric tonight against... I can't read. Portugal playing his 84th game for Croatia. Fuck me. He has now played in 58% of all games in Croatian history. That is crazy. Crazy stat. He's building the foundation to success. But Daniel, the foundation for Arsenal's built. The foundation is built. The house is built. Exactly. The furniture's in. The windows, the surround sound's in. The house is done. It's now about running your house right, bruv. And right now, the kids are being a bit naughty. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Terry, can I just say something on that, though?
Get the switch out. Go on, mate. Go on.
We have always historically been run well. If you look behind closed doors, or behind the doors, we've always been run and financially run well. It's not like we've had to, take minions here or sponsor ourselves here or do whatever you've got to do here. We've always run the club well, and like I said, that's where Arsene Wenger stabilised us through that time where we were paying everything off instead of doing these craziness. So I think behind doors, I've never had an issue. We've always been run, never been in debt, never been in massive trouble other than the stadium. Sorry, but we've completely paid that off. We've always run it behind closed doors exceptionally. If you look at you look at any stats, any books, they always say Arsenal's one top club. That's why we've never been relegated. But I think with Arteta, I just want to say, like you say about we need to win something, and I generally do think we need to win something. I do think we need to win one of the big trophies at some point. But also, I don't think, if we don't, I don't think Arteta's going to get the sack, because we've gone from. Oh, no, it's ridiculous, mate. Sorry, that's a ridiculous comment. But
4.5 years, we've gone. Don't gotta win. But we were never competing before. Let's be honest, but it's not even about
a point. But at least we're now actually competing. But we're now actually competing. We're in a position to compete. We're in a position to actually win the league or have a point where someone else will win it. Like we're now in a position where we are competing where before we weren't. We were just floating. Yeah, and I think Arteta will win something, and I think it will be in the next 2 years. But I don't think it's
but it's like what Terry said in terms of if Arteta wins the FA Cup, he'll get another year. So I'm not even talking about the Champions League or Prem. I'm talking about he just needs to win something, period. I don't care if it's the Carabao Cup, FA Cup. You have to bring in silverware. You can't keep going seasons without winning anything and then spending all this money.
What if Arne Slot wins the league?
Hold on.
But no. Then what does that say about Arteta? For him to come in his first year in a Liverpool side?
Liverpool have a more proven squad, Henry. Like Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Trent. These are players that have won the Prem, have won Champions Leagues. Like, so Slot has inherited a side that's already battle tested. And I think like that's where I would give like Arsenal and Arteta a little bit more grace. Because I think, it does look bad if Slot comes in his first year and then wins the league. But he's also been handed a much more proven squad than what Arteta has right now.
But he's got a better squad.
But bang on. But that's why the thing is we can't all sit here and say that Arsenal have to have a model where if Arteta gets close to the line and then moves on, another manager comes in and gets them over the line. Say Arteta wins nothing this year, and then Alonso comes in and wins the Premier League in his first season. That for me isn't. I told you Arteta was crap. Equally, that isn't then an embarrassment for all the other managers who have been in the Premier League longer than Alonso. I think I might have said, I don't know if I said Alonso, but like it's this, you can't look at it that way. Slot has walked into a team full of world-class players and winners who have won major trophies. Liverpool are more successful than Arsenal in the last 8 years, and he has picked up an excellent going concern and got them over the line. I don't think Slot winning, a lot of people want it to be the stick to beat Arteta over the head with. I'm not sure if it is. On that, though, because